Hello, second and third grade Baltimore County teachers, and welcome to the Open Court Lesson Overview Training. We are so excited that Open Court Foundational Skills is continuing into second and third grade next year. We hope you've heard from your kindergarten and first grade teachers that they have really enjoyed the program and have found that there is professional learning built into the lessons. You just finished the PD walking you through the materials that you will have in your classroom. Now, I want to show you the digital resources on the McGraw-Hill website. We'll be using a demo class. You will need to go to my.mheducation.com using the username and password on Schoology and on this slide. Now on the website, you will enter the username and password and log in. With this demo class, you will actually have access to all grade level material for Open Court. Scroll down and find your grade and the teacher edition. If you're a second grade teacher, you will click on this image, and if you are a third grade teacher, you will find the teacher edition and click on the robot. Now that we're in Open Court's online resource, you can access every lesson that you will teach. It is the same lesson that will match your teacher guide. Let's navigate the digital resources together. If you see at the top, you will see the unit number, the lesson number, and the day. Each unit will have lessons, and within the lessons, there are 5 days of instruction. Unit 1, Lesson 1, Day 1. For all of the lessons, you will see the materials listed above. These will link you to resources that will be needed. The objectives are listed here, and then the components of the lesson are below. In this Day 1 lesson, Phonics and Decoding is the main heading. Within that, you will see parts of the lesson like blending, about the words, about the sentences, developing oral language, guided practice, dictation and spelling, and word building. When you drop down the tabs, all of the information that's provided digitally matches the information that's in your teacher guide. As you can see, Open Court has built-in PD for teachers. It's very important that we read through the information prior to teaching it. In your book, you can add post-its to tell yourself different things to remember about the lesson. It's important that the book is close by while teaching. Let's look at blending. As you can see, the teacher language is to the left and the e-presentation resources are to the right. You might have a reference to a sound card you can play for students. You may have an instructional routine card. You also will see the words that you're going to blend for that lesson. The next part after blending you will see is about the words. This is an opportunity for students to go back and see spelling patterns that are consistent within each row. This helps students identify spelling patterns to be better readers and writers. When you're blending, you also are going to be reading sentences. After the about the words, there will be a section called About the Sentences. And this is an opportunity for students to go back to the sentences read and notice things like punctuation. This third piece is developing oral language. It is so important for students to understand that words are not just read. We need to know the definition for words to understand the context within our reading. So that same blending list, students will look back to and engage in activity that is going to develop their oral language. Sometimes teachers are asked to ask specific questions or clues, and the students are to determine which words match that clue. This is a fun way for students to engage in vocabulary. Within the Open Court lesson, you will see a guided practice worksheet. This can be found in the student workbooks. These are opportunities for students to apply their learning and extend what they have been working on. Then you see dictation and spelling. During this part of the lesson, teachers and students will work through the steps in which you need to spell a word. using the sound cards on your walls and walking students through the instructional routine, you as a class will work through spelling certain words. This is not a spelling test. Dictation and spelling is something that we will teach throughout the phonics lesson. The last part of this lesson is a word building activity. Similar to dictation, where students will maybe use a whiteboard or piece of paper, the building words activity will be using letter cards. Students will be challenged with listening to the sounds in a dictated word and using their letter cards to build that word. We just reviewed the components for a day 1 lesson. The other important thing I would like to show you is if you were to open up the resources for our L students or the tab that is for differentiation, within the lesson, they will then give you additional resources for differentiation and our students with English being their second language. These resources can be found in your teacher guide, but for the digital resource, you'll have to turn them on. Now that we've looked through the details of what a day 1 looks like for phonics instruction, let's look at day 2. Day 2, you can see that students are going to be focusing on reading a decodable and building fluency. As you can see, this lesson possibly will be shorter than day 1. Students will have access to high-frequency words, a decodable that they will follow a routine to read, and then check for comprehension at the end. The importance will be for students to reread the text to build fluency. Let's move on to day 3. Day 3 looks very familiar to day 1. Students will continue to develop their knowledge about a spelling pattern. They will blend that spelling pattern. They will work on looking at the words, looking at the meaning of words, and dictation and spelling. As we move on to day 4, you can see that the decodable is back. Students need multiple opportunities to apply the spelling patterns and apply the phonics that has been taught to connect it in a text. And then day 5, you will see that students will have a review opportunity to review the sounds of the week, check that oral language development, and build their fluency by reviewing both of the decodables for that week. There is an opportunity on day 5 to monitor progress or provide students with an informal assessment or formal assessment. The assessments for Baltimore County will remain the same. You will be responsible for using MAP and Fontana-Pinnell benchmark assessment. The open court assessments are additional resources for teachers to use to gain information about their students' progress. You may choose to only have a small group of students complete the assessment. But again, this is building and teacher decisions. The next thing that I would like to draw your attention to is typically at the top of all lessons, you will see this Show Me How video. This is an open court consultant, Marisa, and she will provide professional development specific to this lesson. This professional development is for you, the teacher. It is not for you to share with students. The videos are extremely helpful. She typically unpacks the behind-the-scenes teaching of reading. She might explain an instructional routine to you. It really helps to look at the professional development prior to teaching the lesson. Throughout the summer, enjoy exploring the lesson structure using the digital resources. Jump to a later unit. Look at how the lesson plan changes. Typically, on the day 3 and even 4, students will shift learning from blending words to looking at word analysis. The focus of the word analysis lessons could be compound words, prefixes, suffixes, morphology, or the meaningful parts of words. Additional PD will be provided during your ELA Professional Study Day. During that presentation, you will get to look through resources like the Resource Library, the Professional Learning Portal, and also learning more about the instructional routines when teaching open court foundational skills. Thank you for listening to the Open Court Lesson Overview Training. We hope you utilize your demo course this summer to explore the online resources. Enjoy!